of the Development Review Board to order, December 18, 2012. Let me introduce the members of the board present this evening. Milt Surdam, Dan Mellenberg, Charles Bucuris, Ron Alderman, Bill Barney, Barry Hurst. I'm Charles Kopp. Dan Monks is the zoning administrator, and then Bermudez is our secretary. Okay, Dan.
Okay, our first item this evening on our agenda is the minutes from our last meeting.
Any changes? Need a motion? Bill moves, Barry seconds. All in favor? One abstention. Dan with that.
Okay, we have a witness sign-in sheet across the way. I know Dave's already signed up, but if anybody else is speaking this evening, we ask that they sign that, and it includes the following oath statement. I solemnly swear or affirm under the pains and penalty of perjury that the statements I make, testimony I give, and other evidence I submit to the board at the board's public hearing held in this state shall be true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. And that's across the way there. Next up is a disclosure of any ex parte communications or conflicts of interest regarding the hearing this evening.
Is there any? I don't see any.
Okay. Our first and only hearing this evening is Joshua Green at 471 Chapel Road. The applicant is seeking development plan approval for salvage yard at the above location. And Dave Mance is here to kick us off.
What we're here to do is get approval. This is a pre-existing non-conforming use. It was notified in the paper as an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use. It's not an expansion. What we're trying to do is get the local approval as pre-existing so that we can then go to the state and get state certification. And those rules are such that we have to start at the town, and once we have the town, then we can go to the state. So this salvage yard has actually been in operation for over 40 years. We're not, if anything, what we're trying to do is consolidate it, make it more orderly, and bring it up to standards. So to that extent, we have drawn a site plan. This is located on Chapel Road. The Route 279 runs to the north of it, so we're south of that on the east side of Chapel Road. The new highway borders it on the east. And when they constructed the highway, they actually installed berms so you cannot see any of the property from the highway. And it's pretty hard even this time of year to see it from Chapel Road because it sits up in quite a ways. The entire property is approximately 10 acres. Of that, you can see on this small map, Josh is using a bit less than half of that for his actual yard. Currently what happens is the cars are brought in, they're stored in this double cross-hatched area, and that's what we're proposing to continue to do. When he gets enough together, he brings in a crusher, they get crushed, they're taken out and disposed of. He doesn't pull parts off cars, so when a car comes in, the fluids are drained on a drain rack, and we actually constructed, let me step back. We got the state stormwater permits for this property when they came out, and that was 3 or 4 years ago. As part of that, we took several steps. We put drainage swales into a stormwater pond. We also put a drain rack that he now uses, and that has a liner under it with stone, so anything that does spill is contained there. So cars are drained there, then there's a crusher pad where the crusher is set up. They're crushed, they're put on tractor trailers, they're taken out. He'll take tires off. Aluminum rims are valuable enough that you separate those. The other rims and tires are stored down in this existing barn. Fluids are stored in a barn over here, and then stores them in 55-gallon drums. Catalytic converters come out and mercury switches come out. And that's all state code. So he's already following all that, keeps his logbooks. He stays up to snuff. He'll wait till he gets somewhere between 200 and 300 cars, and he just goes out and buys junkers from people that want to get rid of a vehicle, brings them in, crushes them, takes them off. So there's no parts department, there's no storage or retail or wholesale sales. It's just, he does it, it's not really open to the public. He brings them in, stores them, crushes them, they go out. And working with Dan over the last year or so, we've talked about, what it would be to really treat this as like we ought to. We've installed monitoring wells, and they show up on the plan as well. They're all below the crushing pad and drain rack. We've tested those twice now. We tested them in the spring, we tested them again this fall. We found no evidence of any groundwater contamination that you would normally expect to be associated if we were having oil or antifreeze or petroleum products coming out of the cars and into the ground. So the plan is to continue to monitor that on an annual basis. Paul Miller, who's a hydrogeologist over in Cambridge, Hoosick area, he comes in, does all the testing, maintains the protocols, and gives Josh the results that we then give to the town. And once we get approved by the state, we'll be submitting to them as well. So it's, auto salvage is a messy business, but it's also something we need. And this yard's been doing a pretty good job, and Josh has gotten very attentive to maintaining his stormwater, maintaining the protocols, and so we're seeking approval to continue the pre-existing non-conforming use.
Any questions to the board? The only thing I saw, Dave, is this paved apron that you have.
Yes.
It has to be 20 feet in from the property line.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I saw.
And one note on that, obviously, we're not going to be able to do that until spring.
Oh, yeah. Anyone from the audience like to speak on this? Questions?
Good job.
Yes, Dan.
I just have two questions. The small parcels of land that are on the same side of Chapel Road, they're listed as 6153 and 6154.2. Who owns those?
Josh.
Oh, okay. Are they?
That one.
Okay.
Yes, Barry.
I understand you said that this is not an expansion, this is the same footprint that's been used since day one.
It's actually going to be a little bit less because we're, every now and again you get a car scattered, but what we're doing is we're defining the area where he can store cars. So if anything, we're tightening the business plan.
Any questions? Guess what we need is a motion for preliminary approval. Don moves, Charles seconds. All in favor? You're all set? Thank you. See you in 2 weeks.
What's the next step?
Just come back for the next meeting, which is actually going to be January 8th, because it would normally be the first Tuesday, but that's January 1st. I don't think anybody will show up for that one. So January 8th will be the final hearing. And,
Now, do I have to send notices out?
nope, you're all set.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other business?
Any other business?
The only other business I had, what I just announced, is our next meeting will be January 8th, because normally our normal meeting falls on the 1st. So no should be. And then the next one after that, will be 2 weeks after that, and we'll go back to our regular schedule.
That's not going to be a select board meeting, is it?
If we do have a conflict with the select board, we'll find another location. They're on Mondays or on Tuesdays. We should be fine unless they change the day, unless they change the days. So,
I'm still not quite sure what badge we give them. What is their ultimate goal?
what was that?
We approve their site plans.
Yeah.
Need a motion to adjourn, if there's nothing else? Barry
So
moves.
moved.
Second.
Dan seconds. All in favor?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Just
Sit right there.
curious, why didn't that go